Hello, Riley Miss, World Football News Network. Boys and girls, it's playoff time. We had 4 great matchups on Sunday, but before we get to that, how about my lucky shirt making its first appearance on the channel? And it will make many more, I am sure. But my shirt, as fantastic as it is, that's not why you're here to watch me today. We're here to talk about the playoffs. Montreal, New York, first game of the day. ESPN. Huh. First off, the problem with the game was no Didier Drogba. And Montreal still won. The game was a nail-biter the whole way. Montreal fans were nervous. New York fans were nervous. It was 0-0 at the break, but a man whose name I have very, very much trouble pronouncing, Matteo Mancuso, believe he scores a strike. It was fantastic. The whole game was, like I said, nervous. Both fans were just completely distraught and anxious. It was a nail biter. New York didn't get the win. Montreal gets the much needed road or home win as they go on the road next week at Red Bull Arena with a goal to the advantage. And more importantly, New York Red Bulls do not have an away goal. Speaking of not having an away goal, the Colorado Rapids did not get an away goal either, but the LA Galaxy did get a goal, and that was courtesy of Giovanni Dos Santos. Who else for the Galaxy? This game, it was wide. It was kind of wide open, but because it wasn't kind of wide open, it was a hard game to watch. It was a hard game to judge. Giovanni Dos Santos puts it away. Not much to discuss in this game, other than the fact that Colorado hosts LA next week. LA up 1-0 in aggregate. Is Colorado going to flop? Find out next week. Moving to the FS1 games, going back to the Eastern Conference, Toronto and New York City. New York City, second year, expansion club, second seed in the East. They're gonna make the playoffs and, you know, have a chance at the cup. Well, Toronto, a much older club, came in and said no. But it was very late in the day when they said no. Josie Altidore scored the first goal for the Reds in the 84th minute. He's been on tear. He's been on fire. He's a great player in MLS. You get him elsewhere, he's not exactly what you would define as good or even great. Ricketts comes off the bench and scores in the second minute of stoppage time to give Toronto a much-needed second goal going into the Bronx next weekend. Sunday, FS1, same time. New York City, I gotta be specific, they dug themselves in a hole. Understand this first year, understand most of these players have not seen an MLS playoff run, but you can't fall behind 2-0 on the road. I don't care how good you are at home, you cannot fall 2-0 behind. I say you can't fall 2-0 behind. You can't fall 3-0 behind like FC Dallas did. FC Dallas, Supporters Shield champions, they won the U.S. Open Cup, but they lost 3-0 in the first leg. No Jordan Morris in the lineup today, or Sunday, whenever it happened. 50th minute. I should mention this. It was 0-0 at every halftime game today. All these games were really tight and really tense and really kind of nervous. I watched this Seattle-Dallas game 4 times. 4 times. Or at least the second half 4 times. Nelson Valdez in the 50th minute puts one away. And Nicholas Zadaro, in the course of 3 minutes, scores 2 goals. Nicholas Zadaro might be the best signing in MLS history. As far as making a huge impact so early on in his MLS, tenure. However long he's going to stay with the Sounders. But he's been on a tear. Nicholas Darrow shouts for the MVP. Come on. Like I said, no Jordan Morse, which I don't know why. Jordan Morse has been really good lately, but Nelson Valdez did get the midweek goal to put Seattle through to the aggregate series against Dallas. Good games this weekend, especially the first two. The first two were fun to watch, especially that Montreal game, Montreal, New York. LA, Colorado was a little bit harder to watch. Toronto, that was a fun game, flying all over the field. And Seattle, Dallas, that was my favorite game of the day. Partially because I have Seattle ties. Next week, actually, before next week, I have written down my paper. I'm supposed to talk about the MVP. The MVP candidates came out this week is Bradley Wright Phillips and Sasha Kljestan from the New York Red Bulls, and David, as it's pronounced in Spain, David Villa for New York City Football Club. All the candidates are from the city of New York, or the state of New York, or the New York area, because the Red Bulls technically are in New Jersey. I mean, that city, that whole area, it's exploding in soccer right now, and congratulations. I personally think Kljestan should get it, but we like goals, and we like goals more than we like assists. That's not my area to judge. Moving on to next week, because I want to make this quick, because the World Series Game 7 is on. Go Tribe. Colorado hosts LA, ESPN 1 o'clock. New York Red Bulls host Montreal Impact at 3 o'clock on ESPN as well. FS1, New York City, FC in Toronto in the Bronx in Yankee Stadium. That's later on. And Dallas hosts Seattle Sounders at 8 o'clock that night. I hope you have a wonderful time watching these games. I'll be back next week to talk about them and the preview for U.S.-Mexico and the conference finals. Hope you have a wonderful week, and as we say in the United States of America, do not score on goals.